So what we got in front of us today is graphing practice, or sorry, not graphing practice. Your next basics quiz, which I will use to influence heavily your first 6 weeks grade. So you need to make it count. It's about all I can tell you. You need to make it count quite a bit. You've got to figure some of this stuff out, kids. By the time you see this, I'll have this corrected. It's going to be worth more than 9. Oh, sorry, this is 19 points. The practice sheet alone is 19 points. It is. And it's going to be a longer basics quiz than usual because it's got some stuff that kids are saying they don't want to do and they don't want to learn. But you need to learn it. Number one, we start off with a fraction. I'm just going to clear that fraction. I'm going to 5 everything. When I distribute there, that 5 cancels. I'm left with 2 times 3x minus 4. I do not distribute to the stuff inside parentheses. It's basically in prison. And then I go to this side. 5 times 12 is 60. And then I invoke the distributive property again. 2 times 3x would be 6x. 2 times the negative 4 is negative 8. And I'm still equal to 60. So add my 8. 6x is 68. Divide by 6. And 68 and 6 are both even, so 34 over 3. I know you're afraid of fractions. I understand that. 2 is a simple inequality. It really is. 90% of y'all like moving left, so let's just move left. 3x minus 9x is negative 6x. And negative 12 plus an 8, because when we jump symbols, we jump either any sort of equality symbol, whether it be an inequality or equality, we change sign. Negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4. And here we're dividing by a negative. When you divide by a negative, you flip the symbol. All right, so that'll change that to x is now less than a positive 2/3. If you're curious why, like why do we do that? All right, we'll take 1, and 1 is less than 3, that's true. Now multiply both by a negative 1. If you did that, you'd have negative 1 less than negative 3, which is false. So flip. Now you'd have negative 1 greater than negative 3, which is true. You do that because it's required. Otherwise, symbolism doesn't make sense. Number 3, we have absolute value. By the way, this was the answer to that one. 3 is absolute value. I'm just going to write 2 equations. The first one is as is. 3/4 x plus 2 is 8. Or negative 3/4 x minus 2 is 8. And I'm going to do the math, okay? If I take away 2 from 8, I get a 6. So 3/4 of x is 6. If you don't like fractions, here's what you do. You just 4 both sides. Notice the point of time I'm doing it after I subtracted 2. So 3x is now 24. Divide by 3 and the x value is 8. Do not be the kid who chooses plus or minus 8. It's not that answer. Move the 2 over. Negative 3/4 of x is now 10 because 8 plus 2 is 10. Multiply both sides by a 4. Negative 3x is 40. Divide through by the negative 3 and you get negative 40/3. 2 answers to those. 4 is also absolute value. Interesting. Apparently I think it's a big deal. Not sure why I did that, but whatever. 5x minus 4 is 10 minus 3x. One of those will disappear. It's kind of interesting I have that in here. And if we do that, we move our x's left, we'll have 8x equals 14. Divide through by the 8. 14 over 8, both even. That's going to be 7 over 4. Or we change the sign. Negative 5x plus 4 is 10 minus 3x. Because you have to write the second equation, or it doesn't work. If we add 3, we get negative 2. If we subtract 4, we get 6. We divide by negative 2, and we get negative 3. So there's my 2 solutions. 5, solve for a variable, and you're solving for x. So I'm going to take everything with an x, and I'm going to shift it left. This guy is coming over here. this guy is going over there because everything with an X is going left. You'd understand that if you don't mute me. Don't mute me. Don't mute me. Don't do it. 8x minus 7xy is 4 minus 3y. Both terms on the left possess an x. I can pull it. If I pull an x from 8x, there's an 8 left. If I pull an x from 7xy, there is a 7y left, and I'm still equal to 4 minus 3y. You could write that negative 3y plus 4. I'm not going to. I'm going to counteract that multiplication operation with division. So 4 minus 3y is going to sit pretty over 8 minus 7y, and I'm going to stop. In the state of Tennessee, less than 20% of all students can do that type of problem. It's kind of bad, the state that math is in with young kids nowadays. 6, 7, 8, hopefully the easy section. We just distribute 2x times 3x is 6x to the second. 2x times negative 8 is minus 16x. Here we're going to do what you've probably heard this called FOIL, the double distributive property. We x both pieces. X squared plus 5x. Now we negative 4 both pieces. Minus 4x minus 20. There's still a handful of y'all who just haven't quite figured this out. And figure it out or don't graduate. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to 2x both pieces. 6x to the second plus 4x. Now I'm going to negative 5 both pieces. Minus 15x minus 10. Combine my like terms. I'll have 6x to the second minus 11x minus 10. Basic function notation. This is going to have to get vamped up pretty soon. Given f of x is 3x squared minus 7, find f of negative 1. That is going to be 3 times negative 1 squared minus a 7. That is 3 minus 7, which is negative 4. Number 11, find the slope between two given points. The formula for slope has always been and always will be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's what it has always been, and it always will be. This is going to be 8 minus 6 over 5 minus a negative 2, which is going to be 2 over 7. Number 12, average rate of change. The formula for average rate of change is f of b minus f of a, sitting pretty over b minus a. Sorry, my hand's starting to hurt. This is where you get A, this is where you get B. So I'm going to go off to the side and I'm going to figure out what my pieces are. F of B happens when I plug in a 2. So I have negative 2 all squared minus 3. That's going to be negative 7 when everything's said and done. F of A happens when you plug in a negative 3. A negative 3 squared is positive 9 times the negative makes it negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. And I've got my pieces. So I have negative 7 minus a negative 12, and it is sitting pretty over 2 minus a negative 3. Taking away negatives addition, negative 7 plus 12 is going to be 5. 2 take away negative 3 is also 5, and it's 1. I'm going to do the ACTs, and I'm going to stop this video so I can do the backside. Plus, I have to let my hand rest. All right, these are the ACT questions. A line is drawn on the XY axis such that it passes through the origin and the point 512. So if you're not drawing the XY axis, are you even trying? A picture is legit worth 1,000 words. So a line is drawn on the XY axis such that it passes through the origin and some point 512. All right, there's two ways of doing this. On your form quizzes, and this is on the back, it says sine of theta is y over r, cosine of theta is x over r, and tangent of theta is y over x. It says the angle between the x-axis and the line is theta. And if I can memorize this from my formula quizzes, then the tangent of theta is 12/5. So I told you that was an ACT standard. That's why it's on the back. The other way of doing this, which makes a lot more sense to kids straight out of geometry, is to simply take that 0.512 and realize, oh, I went over 5 and up 12. And maybe do your SOHCAHTOA. They don't design the ACT to be anything too bad. But if theta is stuck between the x-axis and this line, then 12 is opposite and 5 is adjacent. And think about this, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So I get 12 over 5. Now, at least half of you will never look at this and you'll be like, bleh. Whatever. You do you. Number 2, write 2 equations that will solve the equation. It's just like 3 and 4. It is. Trapped in here is 2x minus 12 plus 3 is 10, or negative 2x plus 12 plus 3 is 10. And you might have to clean that up. I don't remember what the actual question looks like, but that's the gist of it. It's not a hard question. All right, there's the front page. I'm going to stop this one. That way the video is not too long.